The third point is that your website is crammed full of AI generated content and images. And I'm sure that a lot of people now are just going to ChatGPT, almost like, build me a website, give me the content, and then they just copy it blindly into whatever tool they're going to use and go, job done. ChatGPT has given me the best content.
Yeah, because it reads fine, doesn't it? And it's often better than what you could write as well. There is a real way you can use AI. I'll get onto that in a bit, and if I forget, remind me. But there's just some facts to mention about this. So it's not, the phrase AI slop is popular now. I really like the phrase, actually. It's fun to say. But it isn't as simple as that. So you look on social, particularly LinkedIn or anywhere else, it's just full of AI generated content, and you can kind of tell. Now, I don't have an issue with the fact that you can tell. That doesn't really affect most things. What I have an issue with is a couple of things. The first one, again, we got to go back to Google search. If you are overusing Google, if you're overusing something like ChatGPT or any other tool, Claude or whatever, to write your website content, and what I mean by that is you've just gone into ChatGPT and gone, write me 400 words about widget generation or whatever I do for a business, and then you've just copy and pasted it into your website. It's an issue with Google because they are increasingly, ironically, even though they have their own AI tool, they're increasingly clamping down on an overuse of AI. Now, it's a little bit woolly, this. If you look at the spam policies, if you just Google spam policies, they have a section on there that's talking about the overuse of AI. And what they say, and I'm paraphrasing here, it's not specific, but what they say is, if you are overusing AI to basically game the system, so to game our algorithm, to rank higher in Google, we will mark you as spam. And what it means when you get marked as spam in Google is that they basically de-rank you. So they don't usually get rid of you these days, but they just leave you stuck at a certain point. I have actually seen this with one of my clients' websites. And when I found that they had hundreds of AI-generated articles on the website, I had to have a difficult conversation with them. The website still hasn't recovered. It ranks for about 10 keywords or something in Google. It's terrible. So I have seen this happen. So this is not just a warning. It does happen. So what you need to do is make sure you don't over-rely on using ChatGPT to write your content. You have to make it yours. It has to be written by you. So a way around this is to actually write a rough draft, write as strong of a draft as you can yourself. It doesn't matter if it's got spelling mistakes, ChatGPT is going to fix that. Just make sure you write the bulk of it. So if you want a page, write 200 or 400 words and then put it in ChatGPT and say, make this cleaner, or make this cleaner but retain the voice of the original content. Now all ChatGPT is doing is fixing spelling mistakes and grammar and neatening it up, really. If you really must use AI, and I'm on the fence as to whether you should use it at all, if you're writing your content, you've got the money, you should hire a copywriter. But if you're in the situation where you have to, that's the way to use it, because Google are clamping down on it. Now, there's another thing to pay attention to as well. It's not just that, it's also images and also video. So YouTube is interested on this one. Many people may not be aware of it, but YouTube are also starting to clamp down on AI-generated content. So they're demonetizing, or not even providing the ability to put ads on a lot of these videos, content that overuses AI or that's AI-generated. So we're seeing a trend in the industry of places, particularly Google, actually, places where AI content is becoming prolific and Google doing something to combat it. So you need to be aware of that and not overuse it. Quick point on the images as well. A lot of images that something like Sora, which is ChatGPT's image tool, or any of the other ones generate, they're full of copyright infringement. So it's not much better than just going over to Google Images and just dragging an image down, which you're absolutely not allowed to do. you can get away with using AI generated images for generic stuff. Maybe someone, washing a driveway or something like that. I've used it for things like that before. But if it has any logos, company names, recognizable cars, any of those kind of things in there, you aren't allowed to use those images. So you're at real risk of copyright infringement. And then what you end up getting is emails from stock photography companies, and then they'll try and shake you down for £10,000. I've seen this.
I've been
Um,
there. Yeah, I did a website for a customer a long time ago. Just grabbed an image, like you said, from Google, used it, and Getty came for him, and they wanted 10 grand. I think he settled on £1,000, but they wanted
yeah,
10 grand.
yeah, 10 grand's always the figure they come at you with, 10 grand.
Yep.
So you're at real risk of costing yourself money if you do it. So I'm not the
Yeah.
harbinger of doom really when it comes to AI, but there is real practical reasons to not be using it.
Mm. I mean, I'm definitely guilty. I put a post on LinkedIn about this just the other week, that I definitely use ChatGPT, and I became to rely on it. And it was almost like, yep, do ChatGPT and bit of tweaking and put it up. But even I realized that it wasn't genuinely me, like it just wasn't me. And I went back to like cold turkey really now. Just if I want to write something, I just write it, and it may be a bit shit, but actually it's me, and I find it lands a lot better.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was in exactly the same situation. For the last couple of months, I've used ChatGPT a lot to write a lot of the video scripts. And what I found a couple of months later, I'm going to do a video about it at some point soon. What I found a couple of months later is I wasn't enjoying it anymore. I
Mm.
wasn't enjoying making the videos.
I'm sure there's a part of your brain that turns off the creative part, the freedom part, whatever it is. I realized that. I was like, "Ugh,
Yeah,
just churning out words."
and what's happened as well, particularly on LinkedIn, slightly off topic but still relevant. What's happened, I think, is that ChatGPT has become so prolific that the style on LinkedIn is ChatGPT now.
Hmm.
So people who aren't even using it are writing like it.
Yeah.
So the whole style is the same, with the little arrows pointing inwards and emojis everywhere and all that kind of thing. And there's always here's the kicker or something like that
Oh,
at the
yeah.
end of it.
Here's the
Always that,
kicker. Yeah.
always that phrase. Um, because it's so prolific, you just, if you use it, you just look like everybody else. So if you just use, your own brain, like you just said, and write your own text,
Mm.
may not be as perfect, but at least it stands out. And that kind of links back to some of the other points I was making about writing in plain English on your website, writing what you do. You actually stand out now if you have a voice. We're in the era of I hate the word authenticity, but we're definitely
Hmm.
in an era of authenticity that people
Yep.
are craving it right now because of the can't say my words this morning, proliferation.
Obfuscates.
Given up with that one.
Yeah.
Because of the proliferation of ChatGPT and other AI tools, we really are in the situation where if you put yourself across as a human, mental to say it, but if you put yourself across as a human, you give yourself a competitive
Yep.
advantage, which bizarre.
Yeah. But I mean, you've touched on something. ChatGPT and the likes, by their very nature, are learning from what's gone before. And progressively, the sort of the output becomes narrower and narrower and narrower because it's self-learning. And now, as you've just pointed out, I hadn't really thought about this before. And now humans are actually going, that's how I should write. Therefore, the material they're putting into the machine is the same as the shit that was coming out before. So, it's getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the other things that people forget is that when you use ChatGPT to write things, it's a little bit like having four friends in a room. And when you play that game where you say, they used to do it on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So we're going to write a story. You're going to give me one sentence. The next person's going to give me a sentence. The next person's going to give me the next sentence. That's what ChatGPT is doing. It's using an algorithm to decide what the next best
Yep.
sentence is to the thing that you've just asked it to do. So
Yep.
what you end up getting is kind of a story, basically, that makes sense, but it's just algorithmically generated rather than a human going, oh no, that's not the way it should be. There's none of that kind of thing,
Yeah.
there's none of that forethought going into it because they're just trying to write the next sentence after the other one. And
Yeah.
then you can tell, like you said, I think in another 6 months, everybody's going to be kind of I'm sick of it, and everybody's going to be able to tell.
Yeah. The word I often use, and I'm really proud that I do use it, but it's artisan. And it comes back to what we were talking about. Like, if you make handmade bikes, you're an artisan, show that. And I think more and more people will kind of get a bit bored with the AI stuff and go, no, let me be me and like almost be that artisan. And so the third thing we've been through is like step away from AI as much as you can. Maybe refine things in AI, but like try be genuine.